This wonderful Sunday of Daytona 500. Very exciting to be with the two of you.
Great to be here.
Good morning, Charlie.
I've successfully woken up 2 days in a row, so I feel like this is half the battle. So.
You did
And
it.
you actually slept last night. Wait till tomorrow
last night. What'd you say?
Wait until tomorrow night. You'll really sleep.
Or tonight, probably, actually.
Well, Charlie, you're right. It is the Daytona 500, and we have Joey all day checking in and out. You know, he's a big NASCAR guy, and so he's live in Florida ahead of the big activities at the Daytona 500. The biggest stars in NASCAR. There he is, are set to be there for the Great American Race. Welcome, Joey. Looking good over there.
Hey guys, good morning. Listen, I'm here at the Mecca of motorsports, Daytona International Speedway.
Now that everyone knows that President Donald Trump is going to be there.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be completely honest with you. There aren't a lot of fans here right now. There are people that are working the race here right now and going through TSA and Secret Service to get to work. The mood is probably, well, it's taking a minute. It's taking a little bit of work. And so outside, I did get a TSA person to admit they don't know what they're doing. She doesn't realize it, but I did get her to say that, so that worked. But outside of that, no, the mood is great. They start their season with the Super Bowl, and the president's going to be here for it. The Super Bowl of racing, the Daytona 500, and I can't confirm it, but the Secret Service president tells me the president's going to be here, and it's going to be a great day.
So will they let him drive the pace car?
Ooh.
You know, I don't know. You remember they took the Beast out on the track one time, but I think President Trump, they would probably let him do whatever he wanted to do. But I got a feeling he doesn't want to drive the pace car because he wants you to see him. He wants to wave. Yeah. Maybe he'll tell them to start their engine, something like that.
And at least the pace car has like doors, doesn't it?
Yeah, the pace car is usually, I think this is a Chevrolet track, so it'd probably be like a Camaro or a Corvette. I'm not sure. I need to find that out. You're catching me on some information I should have already had. So each track has a manufacturer attached to it, and it'll be a Corvette or a Mustang or a Camry.
Every Joey hit will get a little more information.
Joey, what are you most looking forward to today? What are you most excited about?
All right. Well, thank you, Joey. As I said, we're going to check back in. You're going to get all the information. Charlie surprised you with questions. You'll get that information, and we'll make sure to let everyone know to watch.
I think we know him, right?
Yeah.
And don't tell him what I said about TSA, okay?
Get someone in trouble.
You're in trouble.
And he didn't get a +1?
Yeah.
He did. He got a +2. Boy, some of my boys are going.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
All right.
Good to see
Bye,
you,
Joey.
So we've got, we're awaiting possible remarks any minute from our new Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who is in the Middle East, meeting with Bibi Netanyahu in Jerusalem. So if that comes, we'll jump over to that. Doge, meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., is rolling along.
Sure is.
And of course,
using all these car metaphors this morning.
Yes, exactly.
We just do that the whole morning.
Yes.
Just throughout the day.
But it is kind of amazing. I mean, it is kind of amazing. I mean, you know, these cars don't have doors on them. The problem with Trump getting into a race car is like, who wants to get into one of these cars without a door? We saw when Brian Kilmeade tried to get into one of these cars.
No, what happened?
Yeah, he couldn't get in. He couldn't get out. They had to like haul him out because he doesn't have, and he was trying to explain to him, you know, if you put doors on these things, maybe, you know, it would work out better.
I feel that because I couldn't get out of the beanie bag on the show
got that.
yesterday morning. It was hard.
But everybody's freaking out over Doge. You're right. And on the left.
Yeah.
On the right, people are so happy. I've got texts from friends, Charlie and Lisa, that they're like, we're giddy. Every morning we wake up and we can't believe what's happening.
But it also just makes sense, right? I mean, if you look at even the desire to cut federal employees, how bad the economy has gone, and then the government goes and spends money like this, like, it's just offensive to Americans.
Charlie, is a lot of this stuff just about destabilizing countries? Because that's what it looks like to me. Some of these don't look like real programs, like the Prague Civil Society Center, $32 million. I mean, that just sounds like regime change or some sort of weird stuff they're doing over there that the CIA doesn't want to tell us about.
Yeah, it's like the $20 million toilet seat at the Pentagon, and then you find out it's actually not a $20 million toilet seat at the Pentagon. It's actually going for regime change somewhere else.
Yeah.
But here's a good one, $20 million for fiscal federalism in Nepal. We should spend $20 million on teaching federalism to Congress in the United States. That would be like a step in the right direction.
True. I mean, these are just outrageous. But hard for the Democrats to defend this. By the way, $47 million to improving learning outcomes in Asia when they're kicking our butts in all the
learning
scores, on all the test scores. Like, they're kicking our butts, and we're giving them $47 million to improve their learning outcomes. What about the learning outcomes in Chicago and Washington, D.C.? Those school districts are failing.
And whatever this money is going for, whether it's going for stupid programs, which it's probably not, or Washington, D.C. is getting their cut of it, which is why you have Democrats in places like Virginia and Maryland freaking out about the fact that DOGE is going through here and the cutting some of the spending, because so many of the people that live in Maryland,
middlemen of your tax dollars going to Mozambique circumcisions and biodiversity conservation in Nepal.
But it's also because they can't govern, right? Like these leftist states like California and New York, they all need the money because they can't govern their own states. I mean, you look at California and what we just saw with the fires there. Yeah. And the fact that they didn't have a reservoir that was specifically built for the Pacific Palisades was empty. Or you look at what the state legislature, what they were doing prior to this, and they were doing a special session of how to check Donald Trump, President Trump. Right. Right? Like they were told, and you've got Karen Bass out in Ghana. Right. For God knows why, right? So it's like they can't govern, so that's why they need these federal money, because they don't know how to manage a budget.
Right. They all are in the red there. It's a good point. Now, Donald Trump also blowing people's minds by renaming things, especially things that, in this case, something that Obama named. He took the name McKinley, made it Denali, and now
President McKinley was sort of an expansionist and loved tariffs. And
now it's all coming together.
So President Trump really, really likes all of this. He also, of course, died by assassination, which they failed to manage to pull off with Donald Trump. But it's another one of these ways that Donald Trump throws it. First of all, he's undoing something that Barack Obama did by renaming Mount McKinley Denali, which, to be fair, has a lot of support in the state of Alaska to be named Denali. But it's one of these ways, it's a grenade that Trump rolls into the process, gets everybody fired up. They're all fighting over this. Meanwhile, he's slashing the federal government over here. I think it's brilliant.
So this is sort of like a diversionary tactic. It's like what the cartels do when they bring over when they bring over humans and they get the Border Patrol all tied up processing humans, and meanwhile over there they're bringing in the drugs and the arms. I gotcha.
When Charlie, I think he just likes President McKinley, right? He likes it because he was known as a tariff man, as you talked about. He was an expansionist as well, so he likes that sort of laying the marker down, American strength. And then, but if you look at like the Panama Canal and also Greenland, those are more foreign policy plays that make a lot of sense. But we also know changed to the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf.
Or, from Panama.
Instead of Greenland?
Yeah.
But I don't feel so bad. I don't feel, but didn't the Associated Press share office space with Hamas? They were accused of doing back in the day. So it's like, you have a lot of these media organizations.
Pick your battles.
You have a lot of these media organizations that have failed to behave as media organizations and have failed to be accurate in their reporting. And so like maybe delegitimizing them a little bit might course correct them to a certain degree. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think you're right.
They certainly do enough on their own to delegitimize themselves. So
I think they said it was accidental. They didn't know about, but it's still.
So you're saying that the senator of Alaska prefers Denali.
Yeah, and I think most people in Alaska, I remember at the time, most people supported the change to Denali. But again, this is not, we're talking about bigger issues here. We're talking about distracting Democrats from the actual fights that actually matter in Washington.
Although I've not been to Arizona, but I worked for Senator Dan Sullivan as part of his team when he got elected. And Alaska is a very beautiful state. So
Alaska is beautiful.
Hard to get to, but absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to move to a Fox weather alert. That story is so interesting to me. It's so nice to know there are boys that are, exploring mine shafts. I'm not upset about this at all. I mean, I'm glad he's safe, but boyhood still is alive. I love it.
Instead of like being on the computer games and
it's like the Hardy Boys kind of stuff.
What a weird spot we're in that was all of our reaction
It was all of
immediately.
our reaction.
Thank goodness he wasn't playing video.
My brother and I used to run around the woods and,
Yeah.
Okay.
like turtles.
Of course.
As tensions continue to heat up between
USA. All right, Chanley Painter breaks it all down for us. Good morning,
Hey,
Chanley.
good morning. What a game. Guys, go team
Wow,
Thank
that's
you.
amazing.
Isn't that
Amazing.
the best story of the morning.
It is the best. And Justin Trudeau there watching
Governor Trudeau.
Governor Trudeau watching him lose. So tariff brawl, or is it a pro-America American national anthem brawl?
I think it's pro-America. It's so humiliating to be a Canadian. All they have is manners, and they lost their manners last night. They behaved like a bunch of losers, and then they lost at the only thing they do. The only thing, hockey is like our fifth game. Like, it's not even like our main game.
I grew up
And they
going to
lost.
hockey games with my dad, so I love it. All right, USA. Peace in the Middle East. That's a
Interviewing a rugby player? Absolutely, that's a
No,
first.
an
I've never even met a rugby player.
invitation to the rugby. I'm the translator. I'm not doing a good job. You didn't
The
hear it earlier.
invitation to Trump via Fox and Friends.
There you go.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. I think it is. I think it's a first for a big event like this. I'm pretty sure. That's a first.
Amazing.
I mean, he went to the UFC fight at Madison Square Garden. He went to the Super Bowl. So
He knows how to get to Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, and then people wonder why he's done so well with men.
Yeah.
There you have it. It's not that hard. All right, thank you both. Thanks, Joey. We'll check in with you in just a bit. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, very much speaking with a unified voice, talking about the need to eliminate Hamas, both militarily and as a political force. And of course, they're saying this as Hamas still holds hostages, innocent hostages.
Yeah, we got some back yesterday. And I know negotiations are still going on. I'm sure that's sort of the backdrop of a lot of what's going on between Marco Rubio and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
So I was co-hosting the big show here on this network the weekend of the October 7th terror attacks. Over 1,200 people were murdered. It was horrible to witness happen. You look at what happened at that Nova Music Festival as well, just people being slaughtered, raped next to their dead friends. Horrific events. And what was interesting is Joe Biden then, you talk about a lack of leadership with him. He was worried about a president. Toe the line between, Israel, between Muslims and Jews for election purposes. And in the end, it cost him electorally because he actually had a decrease in Jewish support in the 2024 election. He had a decrease in the Muslim vote in the 2024 election. In fact, President Trump went on to win, or then candidate Trump went on to win Dearborn County, Michigan. And as a part of that weak leadership, Joe Biden did things like try to encourage Israel to not go into Rafah. He also sent humanitarian aid to Gaza, which, of course, is just sending humanitarian aid to Hamas. And he also pressured Israel to not act with strength in response. And so weak leadership both costs you electorally and also costs our allies like Israel as well. So what we saw there, I think, is leadership back in charge in America with a new sheriff in town and understanding relationship that we've had with the state of Israel.
I thought it was interesting that one of the things that Benjamin Netanyahu said just a minute ago is that, and Rubio confirmed this, that they're working very much in close concert with each other between Trump and Netanyahu. And he said that they're working in cooperation and secretly as to when the gates of hell will be open against Hamas.
Right. Well, part of this getting out of the hostages was the ceasefire, which Donald Trump brought about. And I know there's a lot of Israeli citizens who are just waiting with bated breath to get all the rest of the hostages out, many, including a few Americans that are still left. So we're going to keep following that. But boy, there are fires burning all over, diplomatic missions all over the world. Marco Rubio in the Middle East, J.D. Vance was just in Europe at the Munich Security Conference. And there he ruffled feathers, European feathers. And I had just had an interview with Gordon Chang, which we had to cut off because of this briefing with Benjamin Netanyahu, this press conference, and Marco Rubio. But I want to bring back Gordon Chang, who's a good friend of this show and of mine, a Gladstone Institute senior fellow, because it was starting to get a little heated, Gordon, between you and I, because you really believe that the remarks by J.D. Vance, and including the meeting that he took with the opposition party in Germany, created an opening for the Chinese. I was about to tell you, Gordon, that while I respect your thoughts that, you know, J.D. Vance, you say, should not have gotten involved in European politics while he was there because it upset the German chancellor. That said, that's all we've done in Europe. We provoked a war. We blew up a Russian pipeline. We're disrupting their German economy. So I guess when I look at meeting with an opposition leader versus what was done in Ukraine with the blessing of the European community in terms of our meddling and our funding of that war to the tune of tens of billions, I'm kind of a little bit confused, and I want you to be able to respond to that.
Well, I think the important thing is that, you know, this was a question of internal German politics. And normally, one state does not intervene in the politics of another state. That being said, I certainly agree with you that the AfD, the Alternative for Germany, is the way to go, because that is the wave of politics, not only in Germany, but in continental Europe. And that is the only way Europe is going to save himself, because J.D. Vance was absolutely right when he said, you know, Europe needs to become democratic. It needs to stop what it's been doing, because this is a drift to authoritarianism. And I welcome those words, as I think many people in Europe did.
But you're still concerned about the opening for the Chinese, correct?
Well, yeah, the Chinese, as I mentioned, for a decade have been engaged in intensified diplomacy in the capitals of Europe to try to pry away Europe from the United States. And that has been standard operating procedure for Beijing. You know, I think that President Trump, with what he's been saying about European defense, is absolutely necessary, but it does create friction. And that's just a byproduct of having to do the right thing. I'm sure we'll get through this, because the Chinese are also irritating the Europeans on trade and other things, which means that we will be able to mend the relationship and move it in a much better direction. I think Trump European policy is great.
Yeah, I do too. And I think meeting with the opposition after they've been so vilified and called Nazis and everything else is a way to boost them a little bit and give them a chance inside of European politics. But Gordon Chang, we love you. We love having you on, and we love.
Great to see you.
You're our favorite China hawk.
Thanks very much, Rachel.
You got it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
President Trump is doubling down on his reciprocal tariffs, vowing to level the playing field. Oh, this is a social post. On trade, I have decided, for purposes of fairness, that I will charge at this. You know, I get all of the arguments that you get from free traders. You know, I love free trade. I'm all in favor of free trade. And I get the arguments against tariffs, but the reciprocal tariffs are a whole different deal.
Right.
If they're not being level with us, if they're not extending free trade to us, why should we be extending free trade to them?
That's right. It's about keeping things fair. You want free trade, but it has to be fair trade. This is yet another gamble that Donald Trump is taking. You see the gamble he's taking in Europe by resetting things there. And now you see it here with the trade as well. You interviewed Stephen Moore yesterday. Here's what he had to say about it.
What he's saying?
I look at this as a leverage point, right?
Yeah.
So he uses tariffs as a way to extract concessions from both friends and enemies. We saw that with Colombia. And also even just getting some of these countries to take back these dangerous criminals. Why would they want to do that? Right? And so you use tariffs to get them to do that, to force them into submission, to be honest. But also, if you want to talk about consistency politically, he took out ads in newspapers, President Trump did, in 1987, talking about unfair trade practices. I think it was Japan at the time. He also talked about in his book, The Art of the Deal. So this is someone who has been incredibly consistent with his beliefs of not wanting us to be ripped off by other countries.
Yeah, that's been a theme of his, for sure.
Yeah,
throughout the decades.
No, it's wild to go back and look at
there's a
clips of him, you know, talking to, you know, Larry King or something like that in the 80s, and he's saying the exact same thing now.
Also, I would love to know who else. Like, was he the only one talking about it? I don't know. I'd have to go back.
No, I think back then Democrats were for this kind of stuff.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
They just changed their mind.
Well, he puts a marker down, and then they just go in the opposite. They oppose whatever he does.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see what will happen. By the way, he was working on that Reciprocal Trade Act idea with my husband back in the first term. It never passed, but now he's doing this in this term. And as Stephen Moore says, there's some risk involved, but I think in the end, it's going to pan out for all of us.
Always risk involved. And we always talk about our military. We have the strongest military on the planet, probably still. China is doing everything they can to erase that deficit. But you know what else we have that's maybe even more powerful than our military is our economy. And I would rather use our economy than our military if we have to.
That's a great point.
Excellent. Awesome. All right.
We're covering some weather as well.
Yeah. That's what she's really that's what she's willing to die for.
If Donald Trump touches, it doesn't matter. Democrats just run away from it. And so as soon as the bromance started between him and Musk started doing good things, she has to reject Musk.
But I mean, NPR is state-run media. There is nothing.
By definition.
I've always wondered, why do we fund this thing? It's. I'm so glad. Is it going away? Is it really going away?
But yeah, that's a great question. Why are we funding them? But also, if there are message to any other Hollywood liberals, if you would like to give away your Tesla, I will take it off your hands happily, but you have to give it to me for free. I'm not going to buy it. But if you want to give it away,
it's a great point, you guys, about what the government should fund and what rich people like her should fund. If she likes NPR, go fund NPR. If you like Planned Parenthood, go fund Planned Parenthood. But don't ask us, the taxpayers, to do it. And I think that's what this entire Doge thing is about, right?
Completely. And she's demonstrating.
Yeah, good for her.
This is how it should be done.
Well, maybe they can be sustained through liberal donations instead of our hardworking taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, let's see if she's willing to put up her house now for NPR. I don't know.
She can house migrants, too.
Yeah, she could do that, too.
Meanwhile, we've got Joey still down in Daytona. Again, Fox, the biggest stars in NASCAR, is set to hit the track, and President Trump is expected to be there for the Great American Race. Joey.
Yeah, guys.
Harry was there.
Well,
I'm glad he's not.
A real
royalty.
Not
That's
this
right,
fake
Joey.
across the pond. Listen, we sent an American over there, blew that up, took us 300 years. We're not talking about them anymore, Rachel. This is NASCAR.
NASCAR
Tell us your
royalty.
thoughts on Meghan Markle.
Anyway, Harry has enough problems at home.
Oh, my God. When President
She
Trump
took
said
it
that.
there. I'm trying to NASCAR us up here. She took it there. Hey, listen, the race is at 1:30 on Fox. Stay tuned here on Fox and Friends as well. Guys, back to y'all.
Thanks, Joey.
I love that Joey's covering this because he is a true NASCAR fan right through and through. So
What a
that's
fun
awesome.
day.
Yeah.
And you know who's going to love it is Trump.
Yeah.
He loves these things. He loves great American sports. He loves a big, and he loves a big crowd. How many? So what's the capacity there? It's in the 10,000.
Tens of thousands for sure. I'm not sure what the capacity
Yeah.
is, but the bleachers go up about as far as you want to look on the front stretch here, and I think they'll be pretty full.
Yeah.
And there isn't a quiet seat in the house. That's the best thing about NASCAR.
That's true.
When was
You have
the
to
There
Let's
isn't a
Go
bad seat.
Brandon
It's
thing?
a loud seat.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's Go Brandon. When was the Let's Go Brandon?
Yeah, Let's
thing
Go
started?
Brandon
That
started at
Was this Joey?
NASCAR.
The Let's Go Brandon that was started? That was NASCAR, right? They were saying something else.
Hey,
to the
guys,
audience, which I won't say on TV.
I'm hearing the
Everyone knows
capacity-
what I'm talking about.
Is 100,000 people. That's a lot of people to come to Daytona and watch a race. 100,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot
Donald
of
Trump,
people.
President
I don't know
Trump's
if
going
that's
to
true,
love
but
this.
that's what somebody told me.
President Trump's going to love that crowd,
Yeah.
and that crowd is going to
Yeah.
love
Oh, yeah.
him.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be great stuff.
day.
Keep checking in with us, Joey, and Charlie's going to keep asking you questions you're not ready for.
Absolutely.
And we'll also
I haven't
derail
had
the
an answer
conversation
yet.
with other.
Hey, the pace car is a Chevrolet. We did find
Nice.
that out. So
Okay.
that was a good guess on my part.
It
Wow,
was.
good.
Yeah.
Way to go, Joey. There you
Good job,
go.
Joey. We'll
And
check
it
back
has
in with
doors.
you. All right.
Okay, VP Vance, Vice President Vance slams Europe's
News
attack.
contributor Joey Jones, who is joined by Richard Petty and his son Kyle. Hey guys.
Hey, listen, thank you for correcting that. The real royal family in NASCAR, and they get along. And we're talking 7 Daytona.
So it's the return of Fox and Friends Fear Factor.
God.
Yesterday, Lisa mistakenly
I'm an
revealed
idiot.
one of her biggest fears.
Such an idiot now.
We've had snakes on set. I grab them. I don't mind them.
See, that would freak me. I would be terrified of a
chickens?
snake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would do it for
Oh,
me.
God. Lisa, you just broke the rule.
What? What'd I do?
You just said you're terrified of snakes.
Oh,
Did
so
you
now
know
we're
it's going to
gonna-
happen?
Okay. You warned me yesterday.
It was such a rookie move of yours.
I am a rookie. How am I supposed to know? I don't know.
I knew it was coming, and remember when I revealed I was afraid of birds? Guess what happened?
Best things I've ever
It was
seen,
so
Rachel.
funny. But I'm not afraid of snakes. And so we brought in Tony Saravo. He's the owner of birthday parties.
So children do this, is
I'm
what you're
obsessed
saying.
with your
Yeah.
job. Tell us a little bit about it before you take the snakes
So
out.
we give people a hands-on experience with the animals throughout our educational shows.
I'm so impressed.
But it says they know we're not food. How do they know? And
Does it
how do
say
we
that?
know they
Oh.
know?
So how many calls do you get from people who are deathly afraid of snakes but need therapy?
Let me tell you, almost every show we go to, they love
All right,
snakes.
let's
so
jump
All right,
give me a
let's
chance
Okay, so
here.
you're saying little kids and so so I'm a big wuss then if I can't, is what everyone's saying here.
You got this. Don't worry. I'm gonna take care of you.
What kind of snake is this?
The first animal we're gonna meet right here is one of my best friends in the world.
Oh
Her
my
name-
God.
Who names your snakes?
When we're on the shows, sometimes
so
when we have a new animal, I ask the kids.
Which way is its
Nice.
mouth though? I want to.
Her mouth is right here. I want you to go ahead and give that a feel right here.
Sorry.
Just feel the back.
Okay, no, but then I saw his
So
mouth
have you
move, and I
always been
don't like that.
interested in snakes? What got you
Oh,
interested
I'm a
in snakes?
huge animal nerd in general,
Yeah.
but reptiles, that's my specialty. And
How
you
do
guys are welcome to hold her if you'd
But
like.
why aren't you watching?
It won't
this?
Yeah,
bite.
scoop her up. She will not bite you.
But why aren't you
Even if
watching?
its
She knows
mouth
you
is
are
near
not
me?
food. She knows you are not a predator. So unless
They're
you were
so
touching rats before
heavy.
this,
And
you're
does she?
fine.
But she knows. But she
remarkable.
also knows that she is not you.
No,
So give her a
no.
little-
But how do you know? But how do they know that we're not food? Look, it's looking at me. I don't know.
Okay, let's just do the
Okay,
tail.
first of
all right,
all, you're
I'll
kind
touch,
of
I'll touch
large.
its tail again.
Here, I'm gonna help you
That's
out
very
here.
rude, Charlie.
I want you to give her a pet first.
I'll touch the tail.
I want you to touch her belly now.
Please don't make me touch
belly.
the
I'm not gonna
Under
scare you
here.
this time. And then just support her. Wait for me right
Okay,
there.
okay.
Beautiful. Now
No,
put a
no,
second
no,
hand.
no,
proud
it's
of
okay,
you,
no, okay, okay,
Lisa.
you guys, seriously, no, it's looking at me. I can't.
Come here, come here. I got you. I got you. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna take care of you. Bring your hand right over here.
Okay.
She is actually shaking. I'm not
You
kidding.
did good. You did good.
Okay,
I'm proud of you. Okay, let's see some more.
You got it. Let me bring something else out for you.
Can you imagine
Banana,
having-
you're very lovely.
So banana is probably the
she's not
friendliest
offended.
snake we have. The next one I'm gonna bring
nice.
out is a little more exciting.
Okay.
I don't think you're gonna want to get involved with this one, but you guys are welcome to hop in with me, okay?
Let's see.
Just imagine having a party for 8-year-old boys and bringing
yeah.
these out. I mean, they would just.
Oh, they lose their minds. You
Yeah.
kidding me? They go crazy.
Are they afraid?
All right, I got my special little tool
He's
here.
got his hook out.
This
You
one
might want to take a
requires
step
a
a little
tool.
back, just for a second, just for a second. You can come
He's
back
used
over
to
once I
snakes.
got
He's
him
a
out.
farmer.
All right, let me focus here, guys.
I love
Don't
how
peek, and you're gonna get nibbled.
How are you scared of birds? But
I
you're
don't
just like-
know. I'm not afraid of snakes.
Oh God. Okay. Sorry. Excuse
So
me. I
why
shouldn't
is
have
he
said
more
that.
feisty than the other one? In
So
what way?
this is an Amazon puffing snake,
Rachel's
and he
like
is
Britney
not
Spears
super
at the
happy right
VMA.
now.
Yeah.
with
You
the-
see what he's doing with his body, guys? You see how
Exactly.
he's inflating himself? He's puffing up. I would not touch him like that if I were
Oh,
you.
really?
But if you come right over here, come right over here. I want you to
Look
take your
at
right
him.
hand, switch with me.
Look
Okay.
at him.
Follow my instructions very closely, okay?
I
Keep
will.
looking at me.
So what's the point of him
Switch
doing
with that tail. Hold him up. Big smile.
far-
Hey, there we
Nice.
go. Not that big of a smile. You get a little too close there.
Thank
Come
you,
on.
Tony
Awesome.
Saravio.
touch the tail.
This is good stuff.
Whew.
What?
He will strike, so I wouldn't get any closer than
Oh
that.
my gosh. See, this is
Very
why I'm
nice.
afraid. This is
All
why
right,
I'm
we're gonna-
afraid,
we're gonna
everyone.
go
Well,
to
I'm
break.
trying to show you the
We're
difference.
going to take out
Good
more
stuff.
snakes.
You're
Don't
very,
worry.
thank you for being so kind.
All right.
Joe
Tony-
Concha is up next to unpack the.
Good morning, everybody. It's 8 o'clock here in New York City. Good morning, Charlie, and good morning, Lisa Boothe, who's joining us this morning
Thank you for
the
having
whole
me.
weekend.
I was having fun up until
Up until the
moment.
snakes part.
Yeah,
Well-
before I had to face my fear of snakes.
Well, let's see a little bit of that, because I thought you handled it pretty well. Better than I
Having a
handled
great time
chickens.
until the
She
snakes.
is not you.
No,
So
no,
give her a
no.
little-
But how do you know? But how do they know that we're not food? Look, it's looking at me. I don't know.
Okay, let's just do the
Okay,
tail.
First of
all
all,
right,
you're
I'll
so
touch-
large. So I had a pretty good I had a pretty good vantage point. Your hands were literally
they were
you
like
can't
this.
tell.
Yeah.
Your hands were literally shaking, but you kept it together. It was very impressive.
But no one answered my question. I kept asking, how do they know that you're not food?
Because you don't smell like a rat. That's one thing.
Thank you for that. I'm glad
you are-
so glad to hear that.
You are
Smell like a rat.
larger than a rat. Even probably.
I don't know if I like these
even
rat
for,
references.
Even for banana, you're
rat-
probably
Well,
not the right size.
You got off easy, because he showed us a snake that was twice the size of banana.
Also, can we just? Rachel was like Britney Spears at the VMAs, just like throwing the thing around, putting it around her neck, just zero fear. But chickens,
I'm going to tell you what. My hat goes off to you. You handled the snake way better than I handled chickens.
I
So
was
I'm
scared.
impressed.
Yeah, it was. Well, I just wanted to stay. I was okay with the tail, but as soon as
Yeah,
the
you did
snake
not want
started
the
looking
face.
at me or anywhere, we made eye contact, and then that's when I lost it. So.
You know, somebody else who I bet has a very strong opinion about snakes would be Shannon Bream,
And she
the
doesn't-
all-around queen
Shannon.
of Sunday, Fox News Sunday.
She doesn't smell like a rat either,
And
right,
also
Charlie?
does not smell like a rat. But I bet you
put
have
on
some
new
strong
perfume. You have
opinions.
been scared.
There is no way, Lisa, I applaud you. I would not have even been on the set. I would be in an office on the 20th floor, be like, you guys call me when the snake segment is over because I cannot even be in the same room. I literally physically and mentally do not think I could have done it. But
was
I'm good with
scary,
chickens.
Shannon.
I'm good with chickens.
Your distaste for snakes is biblical, I would imagine.
Exactly. It goes back to the Garden of Eden.
Well, there
Which
you
is
go.
why I'm surprised. But I love that Rachel is so bold, which
So
means
bold.
she is bold in confronting all kinds of
Well, you know, we
dangers
should be
and
careful
enemies.
about this because, of course, let's not forget, women didn't come out of the Garden of Eden all that well either. You know?
Okay, but I would like to point out, as somebody who's written a book on the women of the Bible, Adam was standing there when this whole thing went down with Eve, so he's
was
not
just
exactly
confused.
innocent
Charlie,
either.
I don't think
He
you're
was
going to win
just
this
confused.
one.
I understand this.
I mean,
Charlie,
listen, Eve
you're
and
not
Adam
gonna
both
win.
made bad mistakes, but he was standing there, so I think
Charlie,
he
you're
gets
not
some
going
of
to
the
win
credit
this one
too.
with Shannon Bream.
Should we get into
I
this other snake story, I guess?
Yeah,
Is
there's
this
another snake story out there.
So, Shannon, we saw this news with top DOJ officials quitting after New York City Mayor Eric Adams' case was dropped. Let's take this quote, a letter from Daniel Sassoon, the acting U.S. attorney, from your opinion.
Well, listen, the U.S. Attorney's Office has dug into this, all of these allegations regarding Turkey and, you know, favors and all of these kinds of things. I got to tell you, Danielle Sassoon is very well respected.
I don't know. This Daniel Sassoon, I don't know where all her morals were when the DOJ was weaponized against conservatives. And I find it very, very, very strange that she didn't stand up and quit over what I think were even more egregious things. But
Yeah, I mean, fair point, Rachel.
Yeah.
What may have been is that she was in the Southern District of New York working on specific cases, and, you know, maybe nothing ever came across her desk that was directly impacting what you're talking about, which, yeah, maybe she would have taken that action as well if she would have said, hey, this is a case that is political and partisan in nature, and I don't want to be a part of it. But we don't have any knowledge that maybe she was, you know, a party to any of that stuff. But good point.
Do we see any of those resignations with all the weaponization against Trump? I don't.
No.
Shannon, do we see any? I don't think we saw any of that with.
But I also suspect that we're going to. There's probably going to be more that comes out about Mayor Adams in the coming months and years, and that may illuminate a little bit more why she might have stepped down.
Yeah, and like I said, there were a number of, you know, assistant attorneys who were part of that as well. Another one of them who we may not ever get the details that they had gotten to in their investigation.
yeah, it's just curious because, you know, the charges against Adams came as soon as he started to complain about the illegal immigrant problem and the open borders. And so I think.
And that raised a lot of eyebrows because a
It
lot
sure
of people
did.
saw a nexus there between him really standing up. And remember, when he tried to have meetings with President Biden, and couldn't get the face-to-face, couldn't get help with this. And as the city there was overwhelmed, I think it became apparent to him as the mayor, like, woo, we are in over our heads. And yeah, the timing raised some eyebrows.
Yeah.
So earlier, Rachel spoke to the man who was arrested in London for praying outside of an abortion clinic. Listen to what he had to say.
Adam Smith was referenced by J.D. Vance when he was in Munich, and sort of held up by Vance, by Vice President Vance, as an example of how England, but Europe in general, has lost its way in terms of free speech and the right to practice your religion, and in this case, to even have a prayer in your head. What do you make of all this? And do you think that J.D. highlighting this is causing the officials in England to, you know, I'm going to say, no pun intended, have a come to Jesus moment about what's happening over there?
Yeah, you guys know that speech got a ton of attention. These restricted activities within 500 feet, that's a lot of ground when you're talking about an urban area or, you know, standing in front of a building. You can't even silently pray. And I think that's, you know, kind of shocking to a lot of the Western world that would be the case in the UK. But listen, the vice president ruffled a lot of feathers with that, but he was saying, if we're going to have a democratic free society, you should be able to have conversations and dissent and those kinds of things. And, you know, kudos to him for highlighting that case. I think it's a really important one.
But Shannon, we've seen that here. I mean, the Biden administration was active in its weaponization of the FACE Act. So talk about that. How unprecedented was that? I mean, you talk to people like Mark Houck. He was on the receiving end of guns when he was arrested in front of his children. So, talk about the Biden's administration's usage of the FACE Act.
And that was one of the first things, as you guys know, that President Trump did.
Shannon, it looks like you've got a great lineup for Fox News Sunday this morning. Who are we going to hear from?
Yeah, you're going to hear from National Security.
Shannon, well, now that we know
Thanks,
you're
guys.
afraid of snakes, just be wary the next time you come on the couch.
Yeah, you made the same mistake I made yesterday, which Rachel immediately picked up on that was a no-no.
No, I love snakes and can't wait to pet them all the time.
Exactly. Smart move.
Yeah.
Shannon,
Thanks, guys. Have a great show.
Great to see you,
Thanks.
Shannon.
You too.
Those are your headlines.
That's an interesting development, isn't it?
It is.
Well, let's head back to Florida, where Joey Jones is joined by 2023 Daytona 500 winner Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Hey, Joey.
Hey guys, that's right. 2023 Daytona.
Strive to live healthier lifestyles, but one entrepreneur and venture capitalist has the ultimate goal: to live forever.
Okay, I'm obsessed with this segment. Brian Johnson is here to show. Your age is 47, but you're based on your biological markers. You are how old?
Years ago, I wondered if
Are you afraid of dying?
it's really about living for tomorrow. If you ask somebody,
It says don't die. But you live in California, so you took a plane to there's cars, there's crazy people around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really out of your control. I mean, you can't avoid dying. And if that were to happen, have you been living?
right? It's a good question. So I feel like
Having burgers on the show a little later.
You don't have to stick around for that if you don't. Let's go.
Tell me what a day in the life of yours looks like,
Yeah.
so we kind of understand what it takes to turn back the biological clock the way you have.
yeah. So I've tried.
It's the least medically tested person ever.
Yeah.
I avoid doctors like the plague. I love doctors, just to be clear. I just don't want to be with you. Like, I would think that a lot of this is expensive.
It is. Yeah. Really, the most expensive.
20s, you were working in startup life, working like crazy. And so you weren't taking care of your health. So now you're doing the opposite, where
That's
you're
right.
very. So do you think perhaps maybe you live in the extremes a little bit?
Yeah. The thing is, we've really learned him. And so these really basic lifestyle changes that we can control when we go to bed, when we have our last meal, dramatically improve our health and wellness. So you don't need to do what I do. You can have significant improvements in health by doing some basics.
I love this. I actually love this. I mean, so you've spent all this money, but there are some things that are cheap and free
Yes.
that we've learned from your experience and from you spending, get this, was it $2 million a year?
Millions, yes.
Millions of dollars a year. But some of this stuff is free, like go to bed early.
But what time is bed? Did you say that? What
So
time do
you
go to bed?
you can choose your bedtime.
What time do you go to
I go
bed?
8:30 p.m.
Okay, that's not.
And-
I went to bed at 7.
And the best thing,
Okay.
That's not too bad.
sit up
All right.
straight, right?
That's right.
You have
Yeah.
great
Good-
posture,
Yeah,
too.
you do.
Great
I know.
skin.
I'm like trying to correct mine sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Brian
Listen,
Johnson, thank you so much. for joining us.
Fascinating
Great to
meeting
see
you.
you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
More Fox and Friends next. Is Daytona Sunday. Welcome to Fox and Friends Weekend. It's 9 o'clock in New York. Great to be with you, Lisa, Rachel.
Great to be with you. We've had a fun show.
Do you feel like you're going to live forever now?
No, absolutely not. Also, a lot of the things he was saying not to do, I do.
Right, like eat pizza.
Although he had phenomenal posture. I think you had mentioned
Yeah.
that when I was sitting next to him. I was trying to.
He has great posture, his skin, the clarity in his eyes. I'm going to tell you what. I know a lot of people criticize him $2 million a year that he spends on trying to reverse the clock. But, I learned something from him. We could all go to bed earlier. We could all, cut down on the junk food. And he said the number one thing you could do, along with getting 8.5 hours of sleep at night, which is free if you can make it happen, is to eat 2 hours before bedtime. So we're learning the free things. These things are free.
Yeah.
And we can reverse the clock.
And I think we've got some from that conversation. Just if people, oh no, we don't. Okay, just kidding. All right, so I made that up. My bad. New around here. But so, anyways, so yeah, it was so. But we asked him too. What time do you go to bed? Because I thought he was going to say something crazy. I mean, 8:30 p.m. That's might be hard for some people, but that's not abnormal. Although he does say he stops eating. It was either at 12 p.m. or 12:30.
He stops at noon.
Oh,
That'd
yeah.
be kind of rough.
That would be hard. And he doesn't eat pizza or steak or have wine. So I think I'm out.
And he's honest. You asked him, are you hungry after you eat at noon and you can't eat after that? And he was like, yeah, I get hungry. But he obviously has discipline.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I do not want to live forever, and so I'm just going to enjoy what we
Keep doing
yeah.
what you're
Well,
doing.
it's also like you can do all these things and then, we get hit by a bus, which is kind of depressing to say, but, it could happen, right? We don't control it. And so, I mean, I guess
Well,
the things you
surely.
can do to be healthy and to try to decrease the odds, but it's It's out of our hands.
Somebody else who's very healthy is Joey Jones.
That's
Works
true.
out. He never misses a workout.
True.
The most buff guy there is. He's down in Daytona, Florida, getting ready for the Daytona 500. Hey, Joey, what's going on?
Hey, listen, man, I miss workouts. I just buy my shirt smaller. That's all you have to do. You don't have to work out.
There, and of course, the president is going to be there a little later today. What do you know? Do you know anything about what the president's going to do when he's there? Anything special besides just watching it?
Listen, Rachel, as Charlie's proven already, I don't know anything about anything. You guys ask me questions.
No, you
and I
know
go find the
everything,
answers.
Joey.
But listen, the wind's blowing. I'm getting
Slight prediction here. I bet you're going to see more than one MAGA hat in the crowd, and it won't be just the one that Trump is wearing.
Oh, I guarantee it. Probably some dark MAGA hats. You got some black race cars here. You got some guys that want to be stylish. But everybody's ready. They're ready for a race. They're ready for president.
All right, Joey. Well, we're going to check back with you in just a little bit. But thanks for all that you're showing us there. It looks like you're having a good time, and the sun's out.
Sun's out, guns out.
That's right.
It's beautiful. Well, that's right.
Thanks, Joey.
You know what I wanted to ask earlier? Maybe you guys know the answer to this. So you're doing 200 laps for the Daytona 500. How do you know how many laps you've? I assume
Someone's counting for you.
They count them.
Okay,
Someone's counting.
There's like a counter. There's a guy standing there with a little counter.
I wanted to ask him about the Bubba Wallace controversy. Maybe we'll ask him
Probably a
about
better
that.
question than
Or also, he was talking about how fit the drivers are. Those cars, I've never driven one of those cars at the Daytona 500, but they're really hard to drive. They take enormous stamina, enormous strength.
Yeah, I'm a terrible driver.
Yeah.
I got worst driver in high school as a superlative.
Me
so-
too. I'm a
Really?
Yeah, I'm a terrible driver.
Well,
That sounds like a
I
very
digress.
well-earned title.
And it was earned.
I'm right there with you, Lisa. Sean never lets me drive if we're together. I know that sounds 1950s.
It's a good thing he's he's
Yeah.
always been ready to be the transportation
was.
secretary.
He knows how to
keeping
take
us safe.
Take the keys away from me.
Yeah, anybody who can get 9 children to the beach and back should be transported.
Exactly, because should be able to run anything.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, listen, the whole Doge experience that we've been having over the last 3 weeks has been incredible. People just sort of every day learning about new terrible spending that's going on, things they never knew our government was giving money to. And U.S. tax dollars were going to be spent.
Check. A good mission, we'll say to speak, and then you sort of see this mission creep over the years. And we see that with so many aspects of government where maybe some of these things were created with maybe noble intent at the time, but then end up in corruption. And then you look at some of this money, which this isn't all USAID money that we're talking about, but you look at some of this stuff, and Rachel, you had mentioned earlier, and Charlie just mentioned, what was this money going towards? Are we meddling in other elections?
Are we meddling in other elections? Are we setting up NGOs that are just getting people rich? I mean, what's happening?
Yeah.
And one of the craziest things is like if you try to, Democrats try to defend some of the stuff and they say, oh, $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. And then they say, $14 million, that's a drop in the bucket. Drop in the bucket is where all corruption hides. When you talk about $14 million and a taxpayer is sitting there and they're thinking about how much they paid in taxes last year, it was probably less than $14 million. So that means every dime that they paid to the federal government went to, what was that again? Improving public procurement in Serbia.
This one's actually really gross. Look at it, $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia when China and all these Asian companies.
Well, because they cut those federal employees, they cut that money. It's the Trump administration to blame. So I think Americans need to know about this corruption and how their money is being spent.
So another wonderful thing that we're getting in week 3 of the Trump administration is perhaps maybe the most pro-child friendly administration ever, is that the visuals are so child friendly, whether it's J.D. Vance walking around with his children spilling out of his arms, or Elon Musk in the White House with baby X, like at one point.
Remove religion, remove family, remove all these things. And as a result,
purpose.
Exactly. And as a result, we've seen an increase in depression rates, particularly among young Americans. So perhaps maybe over these next 4 years, our young people and younger generations can find purpose again. with, taking the lead and reinstating family values and the desire to have kids and families.
Let's not forget, J.D. Vance's very first public appearance was at the March for Life, where he talked about family policy. And then again, like right back to Valentina. I mean, the way that Donald Trump treated Valentina was so beautiful. And he is the most pro-life president. One of the things he's fighting against is the discrimination in utero that we have towards people that we deem as not as perfect. I mean, to me, if I look at Valentina, she's perfect. She is worthy of life, and there she is. And yet 90% of children diagnosed with Down syndrome are guess what? She's the only child with Downs in her school, and she's the only child with Downs that's been in her school for 10 years. What does that tell you about what we've done to this class of people?
So when I met her, she had like a little eyebrow or eyeshadow brush in her hand.
Oh, yeah.
And
she
so I
loves
was like,
makeup and
I was like,
brushes.
oh, like, what is that, And she said she reached her little hand out and held my hand, and I was like,
Yeah.
she's so cute. But
She loves everybody.
I have an aunt who's special needs, so I share that desire of you and the fact that people with differing abilities have so much to offer our country.
She is
You're
why
such a good mom.
she's why Sean's confirmation hearings went so smoothly. She
no
worked
question.
the crowd, worked both sides of the aisle.
Cute.
She did.
Okay, now to a Fox Weather Alert. Championship in Boston, where they could see the Canadians on ice once again. And I mean, this may be the best. This is my favorite story of the day. I mean, I just love it. I mean, it's so humiliating. I mean, I don't know how Canadians get out of bed in the morning after that.
Do we think that Justin Trudeau's career has been a little revived from some of these?
I love how you said earlier in the show that, America winning is just, this is like the #1 sport in hockey. I mean, in Canada,
for them.
hockey is.
It's the only thing they have, that and being nice. So not only do they lose at hockey, their #1 thing, it's our 5th game at best, our 5th game. Not only that, they also surrendered all their niceness by being rude little jerks. Could you imagine booing another country's national anthem?
No, I would
Could you
not do that.
imagine doing that?
It's such a move you make when
you're
feel
a loser.
Yeah, when you feel inferior.
I love hockey, though. I grew up going to Caps games with my dad, so and I took him to go see when, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He broke one of the records. I'm going to remember. My dad's going to be mad at me. That
Eric Johnson.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
It's my nephew.
you
Oh
go,
my God.
and you go for the fights, kind of like
Having a brain fart.
You like NASCAR
It
for
was
the
a big
refs?
thing recently. Anyways, I digress. I forgot the name. All right. Vice President Vance putting Europe on
Time
notice.
for another pop culture roundup, and this week we have Lisa here to break down the latest and the greatest in all these pop culture stories across the country. So we're going to start with this. Singer Sheryl Crow is saying goodbye to her Tesla. She pledges her money, get this, Lisa, she's giving her money to NPR. She posted this on Instagram saying, quote,
I think it was Charlie earlier. He was like, at least we can follow the source of her indoctrination to NPR with all of this.
True.
I would have happily taken the Tesla off of her hands. But look, we give $500 million to the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, which is where NPR and PBS get their money. Senator John Kennedy recently gave his floor speech saying, why are we doing this? What's the point of it? There's so many sources of information. We do not need to be funding NPR.
well, I'm glad these rich people want to fund it.
But I will take the car. Give me
Have
the
at
car.
it. Have at it. All right. Disney's going to change content warnings before old movies. Get this. Did you know they had warnings before Peter Pan or Dumbo? So now I guess in light of all these DEI changes, they're going to take the warning labels off of these beautiful films.
Well, and Disney has come under attack for being woke in recent years. And even their Disney Plus lost 700,000 subscribers in Q1 of 2025.
I was one of them.
Well, and they also, remember, they were going after Florida's parental rights bill as well. So they dabbled in politics, go woke, go broke, and, don't feel bad for them. Hope that happens.
Yeah, well, they're thinking about changing this policy, so good. Peter Pan does not need a warning label.
Wait,
Thank
also,
you very
do
much.
you know what the
Best
wonder
film.
what the warning label? I don't know what it was.
well,
something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Cobra Kai and Karate Kid star Ralph Macchio says staying out of Hollywood is key to his 38-year marriage. So listen to this.
Oh man, stay out of
Just
Hollywood.
like him, she's adorable.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off, but that's good advice, right?
It's great. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like Hollywood would be hard for marriages, right? And then also, like, you're kissing co-stars and all these different things. I don't know. I feel like that would maybe be conducive to leading to cheating. I mean, I'm not in Hollywood. Yeah, good for him. And it's also just that love and commitment that I guess leads to 38. I mean, you've been married. What's the secret, Rachel? You tell me.
26 years. I don't live in Hollywood either. Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
Maybe he's
there you
onto
go.
something.
There you go.
Good for him. And by the way, Cobra Kai, we all love it because we all love Karate Kid.
Yes.
Forget dating apps and pickleball. Some women are just going, get this, you guys, to Home Depot to find their man. Watch this.
If you're a single lady and you're
I think this is brilliant. You know,
it is.
Just find the hottest guy and be like, oh, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. It's better than more. I feel like I'm no hate on the abs, but organic's always better. And so, brilliant idea. Go get your man, find your tool, even if you don't need one.
And you're finding somebody who's useful, who's
Yes,
handy,
we want
who can
useful
hang
men.
a painting and make a window box or whatever people do at Home Depot. I like this idea.
I don't know if I've been to a Home
Would you
Depot.
do this?
Yeah, I would actually.
You'd get dressed up and put on your makeup and go to Home Depot?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Or like just, you go to a grocery store or something and you see a guy. I don't know. Actually, I have a friend who met her husband in the produce department of, I think like Whole Foods
that's
or
a trend
something.
too, by the way. That's
Yeah.
another trend is go to the produce department.
But it was like a meet cute.
All right.
Okay. All right, we got to go.
You go to Home Depot. All right.
And
more
you
Fox
go to Home
Friends.
Depot.
You go to Home Depot. You go to Home Depot.
Everyone go
More
to
Fox and Friends. Moments away.
Headed to Home Depot now.
No, I'm going to take my shoes off. My feet are killing me.
You can go to church. Another place you can meet.
There you go.
That's
All right.
the best place to be.
That's right.
So much fun with you guys.